Climate change is often framed as a global problem, but its consequences are hardly equal. While some might complain about the humidity, others fare much worse. Just last month, our brothers and sisters suffered tremendously from a catastrophic flood in Sumatra. Over 1,000 people have died, and many more are still missing. To some, climate change is an abstract future risk, but for others, it's a daily fight for survival. That is what we mean by climate injustice. A world where responsibility and suffering are never shared equal. Most of the world's highest emitting countries built their prosperity on decades of carbon intensive growth, while Indonesia and other developing nations, on the other hand, emit largely in the process of survival to feed its people. Yet, we bear a disproportionate amount of climate disasters. Hi everyone, I'm Fendi Octavianto, and I'm one of the founding members of Fearless Creative Community, a UNESCO-backed initiative focused on the mental health and well-being of youth in Indonesia. I've been fighting for climate awareness ever since high school, when I first spoke about it in a citywide speech competition, and more recently when I placed second on my campus's Hope Prize competition in 2023, tackling sustainable tourism in the Biak Numfor Regency of Papua, where the effects of climate change isn't just theoretical, they're lived realities. And through every experience, one truth has become clear to me. We don't have a waste problem. We have a wasted opportunity problem. One that places an unimaginable burden on Indonesia and other developing nations in the fight against climate change. With over 40 million farmers working from dawn to dusk, Indonesia feeds not just its people, but the whole Southeast Asian region. Indonesia's farmers are the backbone of the Southeast Asian agricultural engine, producing the rice we eat, the coffee we drink, and the very lifeblood that sustains us. However, that comes at a cost of producing over 100 million tons of agricultural waste annually, the largest in the whole Southeast Asian region. 100 million tons. That's enough to fill more than 5 million garbage trucks lined up bumper to bumper, stretching from Jakarta to London and back. Now let me clarify. I'm not talking about food waste, which is the edible food that gets thrown away. What I'm focusing on today is the agricultural waste, which is the waste that gets left behind in the fields. The rice husk, corn stalks, palm shells, banana stems. Not edible, not glamorous, just left to be forgotten. As our agricultural heroes, Indonesia's farmers face a double burden. They're feeding hundreds of millions, and yet are left to manage the environmental consequences with very few resources. Most of these wastes are burned, not a choice, but out of necessity, releasing emissions that accelerate the consequences of climate change, even as the farmers themselves suffer its worst consequences. If we don't innovate, climate change won't just damage the environment, but it will diminish the livelihoods of our farmers through floods, droughts, and disease. Something we're all too familiar with. Climate injustice won't be solved through sympathy, but through action. So let me introduce to you Project Tribute, the trench-based biochar for rural youth empowerment. This is not a tech innovation. It's a people-powered model. Project Tribute trains rural youth teams from vocational schools and Karang Taruna groups. They'll be mentored in short boot camps by agricultural experts. They'll learn how to build trench pits, dry agri-waste, and produce biochar. With the basic knowledge of producing biochar, they'll be able to dive straight into helping the farmers of Indonesia. They won't just burn the waste. They use a method called pyrolysis, heating the waste in a low oxygen environment. This prevents dust from turning into ash, and instead creates a stable carbon-rich material called biochar, an environmentally friendly fertilizer that enriches the soil and traps the carbon beneath the ground. For every kilo they help produce, they earn community points, redeemable for school credits, groceries, or mobile data. Instead of watching the waste burn, we empower the youth to take action. Instead of importing fertilizer, we build resilience from what's already beneath our feet. The science is proven. Indonesia does not have to wait for the world's top polluters to take lead. Through grassroots initiatives like Project Tribune, Indonesia can redefine what climate justice looks like on the international stage. Project Tribune trains rural youth teams to help the local farmers build their own biochar. They will take small steps that will add up to become the sharpest weapon we have against climate change. Helping our agricultural heroes, the farmers, turn their waste into environmentally friendly fertilizers. One pit at a time, one village at a time. These youth groups will receive incentives like scholarships or microgrants, turning climate action into a sustainable economic opportunity for the local communities. In India, mobile pyrolysis has reduced pollution and increased crop yields by 20%. In Aceh, the BRIN has proven that palm oil waste can be turned into high quality biochar. The science is there, ladies and gentlemen. The gap is in the scale of implementation. Indonesia's future doesn't have to come from billion-dollar tech ideas or foreign aid. It can rise from the trench pits filled with the rice husk and banana stacks lit by the hands of the rural youths who actually live with farmers, who were raised by farmers. We already have the waste. We already have the science. Let us not waste any more opportunity to change. Let's turn what we once burned into something that helps us grow and free our children from the shackles of climate change. Because change starts with the youth, change starts with you. My name is Fendi Octaviano. Thank you.